Hello and welcome. I am Matt Roddy, and this is the Greater Prescott podcast, where we talk about, you guessed it, all things Greater Prescott. Today, I want to welcome my guest, Matt Keppel from Guardian Landscape. Matt, thank you for being on the pod.
Yeah, appreciate it. I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. I have to set the context. For everyone listening, Matt is my boss. Matt is one of my bosses. It's funny because we don't interact a whole lot.
Right.
And so, yeah, you pay me, but you don't hardly ever see me. So it's kind of interesting.
Yeah.
I do canvassing for Matt. And I've been talking to Bobby, the office manager, about getting Matt on the pod and simply letting people know who he is, why he does what he does. And I'm excited for you to come on. As I've been talking to Bobby, you guys are getting into content marketing.
Yep.
And so this is just kind of one of those steps into doing that. And I'm excited for you to begin that.
Yeah, I'm excited to see where it takes us to.
Yeah.
Really let people know a lot more about our company. So
Exactly.
Yeah.
Let me tell you a little bit about me, because like I said, we haven't spent really any time together.
Yeah.
Born and raised in Tucson, spent all my time outside. Come high school, my first vehicle was a 81 Chevy pickup, and I started a little landscaping business. So every Saturday for at least from when I was 16 till when I went to college, I did landscaping. My dad was very kind of just a jack of all trades. So I always did the yard work around the house with him. And that's just kind of been in my blood for a long time. So I went to ASU for golf facility management. So I worked on golf courses for 5 years. I was in the Phoenix area. And then I transitioned to commercial landscaping. I had my spray license and did that for 5 years. And then I'm like, it's really hot. I'm like 25 going, I've spent enough time outside already.
I was going to ask, how did you spend all that time outside in Tucson?
Man, when you're a kid, you don't really care.
True.
But yeah.
It's
like when I'm 25, I'm going, man, 35, 45, 55.
No thanks.
How do people do this? And so I transitioned to behavioral health as I then got into the psychology field. Which tells you just a little bit about, now you see all this. I do a lot of things. I've had a lot of interests, and I don't know what I want to be when I grow up.
Yeah, I struggle with that too.
So it's interesting that I'm back at a landscaping company, not doing landscaping, but I definitely have some knowledge and I do enjoy landscaping actually in general.
Yeah,
because I like being outside.
It's funny for me because I grew up landscaping with my dad, who owned a business. But the one thing I will say is I always swore when I have a say-so in the matter, I will not be a landscaper.
Okay.
So here I am 21 years later. I'm a landscaper. So.
Is your dad still doing anything?
He has a few jobs that he does, like maintenance clients that really other guys do for him. Yeah. And he just makes a little money off of that. So it's a pretty cool deal for him. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So that just to kind of set the context as we move forward, that's a lot of the stuff I've done.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
I didn't even know. See, you worked for me. You canvassed for me. I didn't even know.
I know. So. Well, that's why I said I feel like I have. And by the way, I do want to point out, Matt is not paying me for this. Matt didn't invite himself on. He didn't try to weasel his way in the door. Like I genuinely, from what little we've interacted, I have. I believe that you are a man of integrity, professionalism, based on how you've treated me and how you have created and set up your business. And that means a lot to me.
Thank you.
I've worked for a lot of people, and I enjoy working for you because you make it good for me to work for you. So, again, but Matt's not paying me. I just wanted to have him on. I like getting to know people, and I like for people to get to know you as well.
Cool.
So,
yeah.
Let's dive right in. Where were you born and raised? What did you do when you were a kid? Kick off the story because this connects all the dots as we get to what you now do.
Okay, so born Prescott, Arizona, Yavapai Regional Medical Center. So that was back in 1980. So I've been.
Was there only one YRMC back then?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, I don't specifically remember that from when I was born,
but there wasn't one in
But
Prescott
when
Valley?
I was a kid, no, there was only one. So, that was, I was born there. It was a much smaller hospital, I'm sure. I've seen them expanded over the years.
Yeah.
But spent my whole life here in Prescott. The only time I've left Prescott is on vacations. So,
wow.
I love it here. and going here, to school and playing Little League. And
where did you go to elementary, junior, and high school?
So elementary school, let's see, I started at Lake Valley, which now that property is Liberty.
Okay.
Traditional school in Lake Valley's on a different campus now. So that was Lake Valley. Then when I was in third grade, we started at Mountain View. It was a brand new school that year. So then we moved out to Bradshaw Mountain Junior High. 7th and 8th grade spent there. And then my freshman year, we were at the old Bradshaw Mountain High campus.
Okay.
That is now Glassford Hill Middle School. My sophomore year, we started on the new campus.
Interesting.
So I got to be the first year of 2 different brand new schools.
Yes.
Growing up. It's not that exciting, but hey, I can say it anyway. So
yeah. This is not Matt's claim to fame, by the way.
That's right. I'm not sure what that claim to fame is yet either, but whatever. We'll figure it out one day.
Yeah.
But I played baseball growing up.
Okay.
From the time I was 5, I started playing t-ball all the way through high school.
Yeah.
I love baseball. My boys now play.
Okay.
And I'm the coach of my younger son's team.
How old is he?
He's going to be 13 here in a few days.
Okay.
So,
do you know the Sapcos or the Gutierrez? A couple guys who have kids.
No.
They may be a little younger, but they're in baseball. Okay.
Yeah, I have not met them yet. I'm sure I will.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, baseball and landscaping, that was pretty much my youth in church. So, I said I was never going to be a landscaper as soon as I had a say-so in the matter. I found out pretty quickly, though, once I graduated from high school and I got a job at the Ace Distribution Center, that it wasn't landscaping I hated so much. It was just, I think it was hard, stinking work. And I had to learn how to be okay with putting in hard work. I had a good work ethic in school, on the baseball team, but if it was work like landscaping, I didn't really want to put in that work. So once I figured out I have to work for a living, landscaping is actually quite enjoyable. It's one of the better ways to work because you get a change of scenery every day, you get to be outdoors, so it wasn't so much landscaping I hated, but so here I am now.
How did you get into baseball?
As a youngest of 3, I did everything my big brother did.
Okay.
And he wanted to play baseball, so I played baseball.
Here you are.
Yep, but I fell in love with it.
Okay.
So my brother also played football in high school, and I tried kind of following in his footsteps for a couple years, but I just realized that wasn't really my thing. Yeah. I loved the game of football, but I was honestly just too scared to be any good at it.
Yeah.
So
that mentality is, yeah.
Okay. So I didn't want to get hurt. My brother didn't mind putting his head through somebody's chest and just, going for it. Yeah. So I remember a couple.
Bless his heart.
No, yeah, he still scares me. So I want to pick a fight with him.
Were you ever good enough to play, say, at Yavapai College, community college, or anything?
I didn't pursue it.
Okay.
So I don't really. I kind of feel like I could have if I pursued it confidently.
Yes.
But there's no real answer to that question, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's one of my kind of regrets in life. I wish I would have just given myself more time to play ball.
Okay.
But it is what it is.
Absolutely.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now, and how old are you?
40 years old.
Okay, I'm 38. And yeah, those things that we can look back and kind of apply to our life now. Yeah. I wish I would have tried this or done that longer or not done something. And you can make different choices now.
Yeah, and that's what my wife and I have talked about in recent years is, again, past decisions that we passed up together, opportunities that we look back on now. Man, we should have done that. It would have been so helpful, So we start making decisions moving forward based on, let's not have the coulda, shoulda, wouldas anymore. Yep. Let's just make those decisions.
Yes.
Sometimes that's risky, but...
Wait, you bring up such a good point. Let's go on this tangent. There's risk in life no matter whether you make the decision or don't make the decision.
Yeah.
It just depends what risk are you willing to accept.
Yeah, it's so true. And that's one thing I've heard said.
It's very cliche.
Yeah. Yeah, but most people, when they get to the end of their life, they don't regret the things they did do. They actually regret the things they did not do.
Almost always.
So,
absolutely.
Trying not to be careless in life. We still have to make calculated decisions, but, I don't want to regret what I didn't do. So
I know.
I do want to, I kind of view life through that lens a little bit more than I used to.
I love it. Me too. That's why I'm doing this.
Yeah.
That's why I sit in front of people I don't really know.
Yeah.
And I'm anxious and I'm nervous,
Yep.
but I do it because number one, I do enjoy it, and number two, there are some goals that I have that this is one of those things that I think I need to do to reach some of those goals, and so we'll see. It may not ever happen, or it might, but I sure have learned a lot by doing it. So.
But at least you won't have to look back and say, I wonder if it would have worked out.
Right.
Or how it would have worked out.
Right.
So.
Yeah, and you and I both have kids. I have 4 kids. They may be a little younger than yours. I've got an 8, 6, 4, and 3. So this idea of teaching our children that life is a big risk, and you're going to have to make decisions and risk things, and Emily and I want to encourage them. Take some risks. Yes, calculated, not careless. Like, at 8 years old, they're pretty careless.
Yeah.
But moving forward.
Yeah, and I'm the same way with my daughter. She's 17 years old. She's going to graduate Prescott High.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah, she's actually number 1 in her class right now. So
what's her name?
Kaylee.
Shout out, Kaylee.
Yeah, Kaylee Keppel. She's
at Prescott High?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, she's committed to Penn State. She's going to go over there and go to school and for
engineering.
She wants to get into sports medicine.
Okay.
So her first study is basically kinesiology. Yeah. You know, that's kind of a base course for a lot of those things in that field. But you know, the conversations I've had with her are along the same lines of, I mean, to this little Prescott boy, it feels very risky. I'm pretty nervous. You know, my daughter's going to move across the country. I've always been where my parents were, and this is very, very new for me as much as it is for her. And so, but the conversations we've had is I told her, don't look back on your life and say, I wonder what would have happened. Yep. I wish I would. You know what? If it doesn't work out, come home. It's all good, you know, but go try, you know. And so we're really trying to instill that into our kids, you know. Great. I don't want to suppress the desire to try things, you know. So I'm really excited for her. Good. She's a phenomenal person. She's going to be an amazing adult. So I'm really excited.
No matter what she does.
Yeah.
Yep. Good job. So, good job, Mom and Dad.
Yeah, well, thanks.
You guys had a little something to do with it. Yeah. When would you have met Jennifer in this flow of life?
Rachel.
Excuse me.
Yes.
Rachel.
So Rachel and I both were raised in the same fellowship.
Okay.
But it's a worldwide fellowship of churches. Mm-hmm. And her kind of background, I'm the little Prescott boy who's never been anywhere in my life. Her background is more of she's been everywhere in her life. Her dad was a missionary. So she lived in the Philippines for several years, South Africa for several years.
Whoa.
Yep.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Oh, yeah. We were actually, me and my wife are supposed to be and my family are supposed to be in South Africa right now. But COVID had other ideas for us. So we had to postpone that trip.
Okay.
Anyway, that's a side note, frustration. But anyway, so she's been all over the world, but in the same fellowship of churches. And so at some point, she came back and moved to Prescott because Prescott Church is where it all started.
Okay.
And so a lot of the missionaries, whether they've ever been in our church or not, they will come back, and the kids, especially
kind of a hub.
And the kids will love to move to Prescott. A lot of the missionaries and pastors' kids move to Prescott. They don't all, but that's what her and her brother did.
Okay.
And there was little old Prescott boy Matt in the Prescott church. Who's this girl from South Africa?
Yeah.
So, but so that's how we met.
Okay.
And that would have been. It's 15 and a half years ago we got married.
Congratulations.
So, best thing that's ever happened to me is that woman there. So
amen. Yeah, behind nearly every strong man is a strong woman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so supportive, and she's so stinking smart too. It's crazy.
Yeah, I'm glad that's how my wife is too.
Yeah, I attribute, I would not say a lot of my success, but most of my success to who she is and the things she's pushed me to do. And she is that very much like no regrets, like I have an idea and it's already a done deal sort of person. And that's completely the opposite of who I am. So it's definitely propelled me forward in a lot of things.
Yeah.
With that approach to life that she has. So it's pretty awesome.
That is.
Yeah.
Did you go to college at all?
No.
Okay.
Nope.
I wish I wouldn't have. Just looking back.
Oh, I'm glad to hear you say that because sometimes I wish I would have. So I graduated. I could have. I graduated top 5% of my class. You know, I just was like, oh, I don't want to go to school anymore. I'm done. Yeah. So if I'd have gone, maybe I could play baseball more.
Maybe.
But, you know, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So you worked at, what kind of jobs have you had actually? And then kind of do the lead up to,
Yeah, I mean, this is a very, very short list. Okay, I mentioned the Ace Warehouse after high school. That's because, by God, I was not going to be a landscaper anymore.
You tried your hardest.
I mean, it was like, if I graduated on, I don't know, May 30th or whatever, May 31st, I was at the Ace Warehouse applying for a job because I did not want to be a landscaper. So I spent 2 weeks there, and it's an indoor environment, and a lot of the people, like me being very young and naive and not having much experience outside of my little world in life, the people were different than the type of people I was used to hanging out with, and it was all indoors, and there was one really super stinky aisle where the fertilizers were, and I had to plug my nose every time I went by there. I was there for 2 weeks. I put in my 2 weeks notice. So
hey, well, at least you're a man of conviction.
Yes, and then it was funny because it was we worked 4-day weeks, 10-hour days. So I put in the first week. I worked only 3 days. The second week I worked my 4. Put in my 2 weeks notice. The third week I worked 3 days, and on the end of the third day, the supervisor told me, "Look, you don't have to come back next week if you don't want to." I was like, "I'm out of here. See ya."
Thank you.
So I've been landscaping ever since, with a period of 5 months where I went over and worked at UPS at the morning preload.
Okay.
Actually really enjoyed that job, but it just in the long run wasn't really for me. So, but I also worked full time as a landscaper with my dad while I was doing that.
Okay.
So that was then essentially I graduated high school and I worked for my dad for 10 years full time. And then at the 10-year mark was when I started my own business.
Okay.
And so that would have been in 2009.
All right.
And I've been running my business since 2009.
What was the impetus to going on your own? Was your dad beginning to hang up the hat? Were you just beginning to look into the future and go, I'd like to do something?
Yeah, mostly just, again, there's Rachel, my wife, who I always knew the potential was there to start my own business and probably make more money than I was making. And Rachel was like, well, why don't you, you know? And so I guess I forgot about one job because I had a paper route, which I will never do again, ever, unless it's the only last possible source of income on the planet left for me. I will never do a paper route again. However, that paper route was enough of a security blanket for me to venture out and start, trying to start my own business.
Okay.
Fortunately, we didn't have a lot back then. We didn't have a lot of bills. We had only, I don't know if we even had our oldest son together yet. One kid at the most to support at that point in time. So, and so it gave me enough courage to kind of venture out, and so I did it, and it started working. And it wasn't long before I realized, man, for the $25 in profit that I get off this dumb paper route for 3 hours in the morning, and then I go home and sleep for a couple hours, I could probably go out and work 1 hour every single day as a landscaper and make the same money. And so that was like, and I don't have to do it 7 days a week, and on Christmas, and on Thanksgiving. So... so I quit the paper route.
We get the point, Matt.
Yeah, right. That is the job from hell, I'm telling you. At least for me. Some people love it.
No.
But for me, it was not. It was not my cup of tea. So at that point, I quit. I went, full-time, if you will, landscaper. whatever work I got.
Yes.
I just focused on that. And I loved it. I loved being out there, taking care of my clients and getting my hands dirty. I'm in a much different position now as the company has grown, and I've learned to market and do things like that. I also was very small-minded, where at first it was like, well, if I'm good enough, I don't need to market my business. People will just talk about me.
Obviously.
Yeah, because I'm amazing, right? So, but there's some truth to that, but that's not the way to grow a business. Yeah. So it was actually when I met Jimmy that I started learning how to market, you know? And so...
when would that have been, approximately?
2000. So I met Jimmy, I think, at first in like 2015.
Okay. For those listening, Jimmy Cordier, owner of Pinion Painting, that's who Matt's referring to. That is also a boss of mine. I also do canvassing for Jimmy.
Yeah. I talk about Jimmy as if the whole world knows who he is, right? So everybody should know who Jimmy is. Anyway.
Well, technically they do. His billboard.
That's true.
And you guys are on the 69. So there you go.
Yeah, true. So, but with that, Jimmy worked on me for a while because he saw, I don't know why. Jimmy's been awesome for me, but.
Ask him that at lunch.
Yeah, I probably will. Nah, I don't know if I want to ask him that. Maybe it's better left untold. But, he just started talking to me about different things of, business growth concepts and just different business ideas that for me, I'd never really even considered. And I thought, oh yeah, some magic formula. Yeah, right. I was very skeptical and very small-minded person when I first met Jimmy. So, he worked on me for a good year and a half before I finally started a little bit buying in and trying different things, but it's all proven to work. So,
what a shocker.
Yeah, I know. There's actual formulas in life for growing businesses. What do you know?
I know. A couple questions about working with your father. What's his name?
Herb. Yeah.
What did you learn from Herb that you can now look back and go, maybe during the time that really stunk. I hated it. I thought it was the worst. Or just as you've matured, now that you're 40 years old, Matt, how can you look back and just... some of those things that you learned from your father? Yeah,
the main thing I would say, my dad is very much a man of integrity. A lot of times to his own fault. He's going to do what he says he's going to do, and then even go above and beyond for clients. But beyond that, just dad is such a hard worker. Even today, he works harder than anybody around him. He's 64 years old, and he will work circles around the 30-year-olds that work with him. So he's a super hard worker, and he really put that in me. One of the phrases that I heard constantly growing up: life is work, work is life. And so I'm thankful to my dad, not just for teaching me the trade of landscaping, which has provided a phenomenal living for my family at this point in time, but for just the general work ethic, and so that's where, dad insisted I work with him. I wasn't just going to go get a job. I was going to work with him. And that to me was so annoying when I was a kid. I was like, I hate landscaping. Why do I got to do this, But, I now understand why dad insisted I work with him, because he was going to teach me how to work the way he works.
Yep.
And not just go punch a clock and kind of be mediocre. That's not good enough. Like, you're going to give it all you got. And so I think that my dad and I are different in the way that dad loves physical labor. And he'll get out there and just do it. Mm-hmm. I'm kind of more of an office-y sort of guy, and not that I have a problem with physical labor, but I find that I think I'm much stronger in the office sort of realm, Mm-hmm. However, the mentality of work hard is still there, so super thankful for my dad. I despised him when I was 12, 13, 14, and all the other kids got summer vacation, and the only days I got off was when there was a baseball game. But even then, I couldn't just sleep in and lollygag around the house. I had to go work for 2-3 hours because we were going to get the blood flowing and ready for the game, All the other kids were getting to go play putt-putt golf and go, on their vacations, and I was working as a landscaper. And, and so definitely despised the whole scene at that point in my life, but now I'm so thankful. So I mentioned Rachel as the primary source of my success in life at this point in time. My dad is also a huge contributor.
Absolutely.
So,
thanks for sharing that.
Yeah.
My dad was very similar. I worked alongside my dad, which is how I got into landscaping myself. I would work on Saturdays, right? Even if it was around the house, it was part of just what we did. And I think it's really important for people to understand that it wasn't so much the work that I was doing that he was teaching. Anyone can learn how to use a rake and use some loppers. And it's the work ethic behind it. It's that mindset that you train your children. And it sounds like that's what you've done with your kiddos, and that's what we're trying to do too.
Yeah,
just instill this. It's work, no matter what. No matter if you're working at McDonald's or if you're CEO of McDonald's. It's work. It just takes a work ethic. And so I think you put it really succinctly. For you, that office work may be a better fit for you, but it's no less work than it is for the guys on your crew who are doing the physical labor.
Yeah.
But it takes actual work ethic.
Yeah. Yep. There's days where that definitely kicks in, life is work, work is life. I'll tell myself that because even in the office, sometimes it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so exhausted. I'm having a hard time focusing, whatever. But you learn to put your head down, power through it, get it done, That way when I go home, I can enjoy family time because it's done, And that's another thing that Dad was very, very good about was balancing the work-life balance,
Good.
And he was always there. I played high school baseball, and so we traveled to Phoenix or sometimes Kingman or a 3-4 hour drive somewhere. And even in the middle of his busy schedule of running a landscape business, he would take off, and he was at every single game, in town or out.
Yep.
And so Dad was awesome about the work-life balance, which is something else that is very valuable to me as well. Why do I do this? It's not just to pile up money. It's to enjoy my life and be available for my wife and kids as well.
Amen.
So
well said.
Yeah.
You started in 2009.
Yes.
Tell us just a little bit about the progression. Let us in on some of those early hard times and just learning things and
absolutely
bring us up to where we're at.
Yeah, so it started with my wife and I had a Dodge Durango. I think it was a 2002, if I remember correct. And so I took the huge plunge of going to Lowe's and buying on credit, a $600 tiny little trailer to pull behind my Durango. Bought a rake, a shovel, and a lawnmower, and had a good friend who was kind enough to loan me for free, let me borrow his weed trimmer and his blower.
Woo!
I don't know why he did it, but that was my wife and I's only car at that point in time, was the Durango. So poor Rachel, she had to sit home and literally have no way to go anywhere all day while I worked. And those were some long days at times. So many Thanksgiving, Wednesday night before Thanksgiving, I got to get all this done. The people are coming in from out of town, and I'm rolling. And, her family's beating me home from they're coming from Las Vegas, and they're there before I get home from work, And so a lot of long days of get up early. Maybe the sun's just coming up, and many, many days sun going down when I got home. And in the summertime, that's a long day.
Yes.
So, I loved back then just having my maintenance accounts where I mowed lawns over on Mount Vernon. That's where a lot of my work was at the time. And it just kind of grew. One neighbor saw me working and came over and asked, hey, how much would you charge to clean up my leaves? And I gave him a price, and I did that. And that was in 2009, I believe. And I actually still work for that person today.
Yay.
So that's pretty cool. A real joy to work for them. And then, you know, I mostly stuck to like the maintenance part of it because that's what I felt, number one, I was good at. Number two, what I enjoyed. And there was a lot of like planning and things like that went into like, if you get into a new install, there was a lot of planning that had to go into that. And at that point in time, being a one-man show, that was just too much for me, you know. And if I did ever get an install that was a 3 or 4 day job, it'd be like, wake up Monday morning, oh, man, I need all my materials. What am I going to do, you know? Call the customer, let them know I'll be there at noon, you know. And so that was a real mess. I tried to avoid the installs for several reasons, but mostly I just could not handle them at that point in time. And so but as the years have gone on, and again, I've learned to stop being maybe quite so much of a control freak and letting people do things for me and trusting that they can do things. It's enabled us to facilitate now the ability to do installs. I've got good people who know how to do it. I've got a great office manager who knows how to keep in communication with the customers and order materials for me. You know, I answer the occasional question, but she really holds it down real well. And so, there's no way I can say like this turned at this point and all of a sudden, holy smokes, it's been progressive. Yeah. And lessons I've had to learn, you know, about trusting people and letting them make mistakes as if I never made mistakes, right?
Obviously not, Matt. I mean, you're here with me.
That's right. I'm perfect. So
I think it was a mistake walking in this door.
Oh dear. What have I done?
Yeah. Actually, I want you to speak a little bit to that because I know a lot of small business owners listen to this. And one of the hardest things for a solo business owner is to take their hands off of something that they have previously done and allow someone else to do it. Yeah. It's probably one of the top reasons that single business owners aren't able to bring on an employee. It's really hard for them to get past exactly what you're talking about.
Well, and for me too, I think even when I started bringing on employees, it was nobody really wanted to keep working for me because everything that they did, there was something wrong with. And that's just no fun, right? Nobody wants to work in an environment where they can't make decisions without fear of the boss saying, why'd you do it that way? You know, and it might be literally one situation completely contradicts the other situation. You know, in this situation you said do this, and in this situation you said why'd you do that? And it was the same thing, you know. And so I had a very, very hard time even keeping employees because it's like, okay, you're going to work, but you're going to work with me, and I'm going to question everything you're going to do. And so a huge part of where we're at in business now and the success I feel we've had has just been because although it hasn't been easy, I've set my will to begin to just trust that people are going to do things for me. And if there's a problem, we'll work it out. Yes. You know, but what I found with the really great employees, it's the people who want to get things done for you. They want to come up with solutions. And a lot of times my employees now, they'll say, hey, here's the problem. And I'll be like, oh, what are we going to do? We need to fix this, and this is how we're going to fix it. And they're like, well, we got it figured out. I just wanted to let you know this is what we were doing, and just so you're in the loop, you know. And so it's kind of crazy now as a business owner. There's a lot of times I feel like I don't have a clue what's going on in my business. And it's not in a way of like I'm not hands-on and I don't care, but it's just a great testimony to the employees I have that they figure out how to get things done. Right. And so, again, that's been a process for me, one little thing at a time, and even conversations with myself, Matt, you're going to have to let it go, you know. But over time, I found that it's made my life so much easier to stop being such a control freak, you know.
That's the moral of the story. When you set it up properly, it actually gets easier, but it doesn't get easier right away. Right. It's a process, like you said.
Yep. And I've probably chased off some good employees because I just was too, you know, had to have my hands in every little part of the business. Yep. And I do want to have an impression on every part of the business. Obviously. But I have to let Bobby do her job. I have to let Mike do his job and Josh do his job. I have to allow that. Yeah.
You got to let me do canvassing.
I got to let you do canvassing.
Which you do, and I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate you do it for me.
Yeah.
I talked to a guy the other day that said that he saw you walk up and he started talking to him. And at that point in time, I had no idea you had any experience in landscaping.
Of course.
So maybe that played out well for us, but he was real impressed with you. But being a control freak would not have allowed that, right? To allow you to go out and represent our business. Mm-hmm. And you know, it just, every area, it just, you gotta, if, I have a good friend who has told me you can either have control or you can have growth. So which one do you want?
That's it.
Right? Or you can have perfection or you can have growth. Mm-hmm. And you know, how ridiculous to expect perfection anyway,
I love the saying,
right?
Done is better than perfect. Like you got to do it.
Yep. And I've also had business mentors tell me, Matt, you have analysis paralysis. Stop thinking, get it done. Okay. You know, so that all kind of plays into a little bit of the journey of the last, 12 years of growing my business, where it's just been a process of time. You know, one little thing at a time, and there's still times I'm like, why'd you do that? Never mind, you did it. It's okay. So,
do you ever? I've been sitting here thinking, Matt Roddy, I'm only 38. Matt, you're only 40. Literally. I like, we have so much time. Yeah. I mean, obviously our days are numbered, but in a sense, we still have so much time. And it's often the people who are in their later stages of life that are the most successful, no matter how you want to measure that, because they've been learning so much along the way, and they just implement it a little bit over time, and sure enough, things start to work. So.
Yeah, and so I have a lot of peers and mentors, and so a lot of things I see, I'll refer back to them. But another one of those guys, his goal is just every day 1% better, every day 1% better. And you know, we tend to think, here's my goal, I'm going to get this done in a day. I'm going to get it done in a day. When more realistically, it's 1,000 days.
Oh, totally.
You know, and we have to learn to take that approach and get away from the tendency to get hung up on, well, it didn't happen today. Forget it. I quit. This is too frustrating.
Yep.
Whereas instead, if we will just each day do the best we can, get 1% better each day, then you can look back, 3-4 years from now. Wow, look how far we've come.
Exactly.
And so I would say since 2016, that's a lot of what I've seen. That's right after I met Jimmy. And since 2016, that's a lot of what I've seen is just put one little thing in place.
That's it.
It doesn't feel like it's having a big impact, but it's...
And it won't typically right away.
Right. But as you build on it, it makes a huge difference over time. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm only 40.
Yes, you're only 40.
Only 40. I'm the old man of my
walk in the house tonight and go,
circle.
Rachel, I am only 40.
That's right. I'm the oldest of all of our closest friends. I'm the oldest, so I was the first to venture into 40.
Yeah.
So I'm the old man of the group.
That's
but
hilarious.
You're right, Matt. I like you. I'm only 40.
Only. How did you meet Jimmy?
Actually, a girl that I went to church with worked for Jimmy.
Okay.
And so Jimmy had an irrigation need at his business. And so it's funny because if you know Jimmy, he's not the easiest guy to have a long conversation with. And nor am I, because we're both just kind of real quiet people. And so we talked for, I think, probably 5 minutes about the irrigation. And then we talked for 45 minutes about business and growing a business. And he starts asking me, like, how much are you doing in sales every year?
For the people who don't know, 45 minutes for our man Jimmy, that's eternity.
Yeah.
Good job, Jimmy.
And I didn't even know better at the time. I look back on that day and I'm like, gosh, that's so weird.
We've never had a 45-minute conversation since.
Yeah. We've had a few because we've gotten to know each other. But it's so true. It's not easy. It's not... Usually there's a purpose behind the 45-minute conversation where if it's just like, hey, Jimmy, how you doing? That's about it. We move on. And so so crazy that day, the first time I ever talked to him in my life, we talked for like 45 minutes about, business. he starts asking me things like, how much are you doing in sales every year? And I remember telling him, and he's like, oh, that's got to change. And I'm like,
who are this guy?
Yeah.
And now you know.
Yeah. But now I'm like, he was right. That needed to change, I thought I was doing amazing. But that was, again, that small-mindedness that I had, and so but that's how I met him anyway, was just a small irrigation job. Yeah. So it's it's kind of funny to think back on now,
Yeah.
So
yeah. And you bring up such a good point, that 45-minute conversation with Jimmy. That's why I like this table right here. It just allows us to talk, whether it's about business or it's about our marriage or kids or life. Like, it just affords you an opportunity to talk about things you wouldn't ordinarily talk about, and for people to learn things that they wouldn't learn about otherwise.
Yeah.
So that's why I love the table.
Yeah, I'm enjoying it. It's good.
Did you remember that we're recording this on video?
Yeah, I kind of look over there every now and then.
I'm going to zoom in every time that you do that.
Just make sure I don't rub my face too much or whatever.
You're good. You're good. Well, tell people, give me a good 60-second sound bite about Guardian, and then we'll also get into just other things.
Okay. So about Guardian, what are you looking for? Just what we do?
Yes.
Or okay.
Yes, just what you guys do.
I mean, we do everything pretty much. A few things we don't do, like finish concrete and stuff like that. I've just learned there's a few things that we can do, but we're not super great at it, so I just prefer to pass off a different referral. But, we do anything from maintenance, quarterly, monthly services, one-time cleanups, annual cleanups, on up to lately artificial turf's becoming a lot more and more popular. So we do quite a few artificial turf jobs. A lot of paver repair work, just jobs that have failed over time. Sometimes it's a really short amount of time they start failing. Other times it's a long time, but we do a lot of paver repair work. And then just weed control programs, irrigation repairs. I love doing irrigation. That's my thing. I love it.
Really?
If I have to get out in the field, give me irrigation work. That's what I want to do.
I hated that when I did golf course and commercial landscaping.
So funny thing there is my dad told me, he's like, Matt, I don't know why you like that so much. I hate irrigation work. And I'm like, I don't know. I love irrigation work. I don't know if it's just because a lot of times it's more mental.
I think that's a really good point.
Yeah.
Because it actually requires you to really think about things. Because you're cutting pipe and moving stuff and measuring stuff, and you're not just blowing leaves.
Yeah, and there's nothing like getting a tiny scratch on your knuckle, and because your hands are wet, it's bleeding everywhere. It just makes you feel so manly, So even though it's just a little nick, you know. So you got to make sure to send a picture of it to your wife. Hey, look at me.
Look what happened.
And she's like, stop feeling sorry for yourself. Get back to work. Well, I just thought it was pretty manly.
Yeah, exactly.
Anyway, so, we do pretty much all things here, landscaping. Mm-hmm. We're not really going to get into decks, and we do fences, chain link fence, wood fence. We don't do necessarily – we actually have done some wrought iron as well. Just that's the pre-made panels. Not like we're out there welding up stuff.
Of course.
But pre-made wrought iron. There's some nice products. I love installing those. So really, most things landscaping. Okay. And if I don't feel like it's a job for us, I'll let you know. There's some trees we'll cut down. Other trees, I'm like, we don't have the equipment to do that safely, and we're not going to do it. And here's a referral. So, but yeah, if there's a need for landscaping, there's a real good chance we're able to do it for you. So.
I love it. Talk about who your ideal clients are. Because I know as I'm out canvassing, that's part of what I'm thinking about.
Yeah. So for us, our ideal clients, we find that one of the really good fits for us is people who have a second home in Prescott. And the reason that tends to be a good fit is because they're just looking for somebody that they can trust to look after the property. It's not just about getting the lawn mowed. Mm-hmm. It's not just about, making sure there's no weeds growing and trimming the bushes. And, it's also looking after the property. Sometimes we might see a broken window, and we'll give the client a call and let them know there's a broken window. You need to, I just want to let you know, and then they can address getting it fixed. And a lot of times I can give a good referral to another local business during that, if they need somebody to trust. So second homes are a great client of ours, a great fit for our company. And then really, ultimately, I think that what we're really good at is building the long-term relationship. We will do one-time cleanups. Maybe you're trying to sell a home or something. Let's get it cleaned up so it's more presentable. Absolutely, we do that type of stuff a lot. But what tends to be our client, that we continue to grow the business on is that long-term relationship. So sometimes, people are just kind of looking for a yard service that doesn't cost a lot of money. That's not really us.
Yeah.
We're more just trying to build the relationships, and we are going to cost more than almost everybody. Actually, I hear it all the time, man, you guys are the highest quote I got, or you're second highest, but you're right there with them, or, whatever. But for us, it's not about being the cheapest price tag. It's about being able to deliver on the promises we make of quality and consistency. And, if you're just too cheap, if you're not charging enough, then we can't really be consistent,
Right.
And so that's, for me, we're looking for that reputation of being somebody that's reliable and consistent. And so I think that if it comes to cars or anything, we know like the cheapest isn't always the best,
Right.
And so sometimes the cheapest is the best because it meets the basic need.
Correct.
But that's not always what people are looking for either. And so I would say, so in a nutshell, the second homes and the long-term relationships, that's really where it's at for us.
Yeah, I think you used a perfect word, trust.
Yeah.
You really want people who need trust in their landscaper. And obviously, I would say everyone who has a landscaper wants to trust their landscaper,
For sure.
but there's definitely a deeper need for some people, and that's where you guys I think, really fit.
Yeah.
Talk about this idea of wanting to just be professional through and through everything you guys do.
Yeah.
From you to Bobby to the guys. Talk about that, because I think that's really important for people to know.
Yeah. So a huge part of that professionalism for us is communication. And that's why I have Bobby, is because I unfortunately don't have time to appropriately and properly address every question that comes through, or every question about the schedule that comes through.
Bobby is the office manager,
Yes.
for those who don't know.
And so she does a phenomenal job of that, just keeping clients in the loop. Our job is, our industry is based largely on weather. We may have scheduled you Monday, but it snowed Sunday night and we can't do your job Monday. We're going to make sure to give you a call and let you know, hey, we're aware. And a lot of times it's like, well, yeah, obviously there's snow on the ground, you can't work, but we still want to have that communication.
Absolutely.
And so that's a huge element of professionalism for us, is the communication. And, a lot of times you have to understand that you're on somebody's private property. You're in their comfort zone.
Yes.
And when you're there, they're not necessarily comfortable anymore. Hopefully they will become comfortable over, but
Correct.
There's an interruption in the normal routine
100%,
because you're there.
Even
right?
if the delivery guy is on the property,
Yeah.
it's kind of weird.
Yeah. And so that's a huge part of the professionalism, is we have to be sensitive towards the fact that we understand we're in your comfort zone right now. And so communication is just the biggest key with that. And again, when I was trying to do it all myself, that was one of the things. And the reason I wanted to work on our professionalism was because I did not enjoy the fact that there would be times I was so overwhelmed, I'd see a call come in and say, I can't take that call right now. And a lot of times knowing probably why they're calling is because I need to go fix something that maybe I just rushed through because I was too busy, right? And I didn't want to be that type of a business. I don't want to be like, hey, we're going to ignore your problems.
Right.
We want to help you solve your problems. And so to be able to facilitate that, help fill that need, that clients have to know like they have a problem, we're going to be there to help them. I just need those people in place, the communicators. And also a good communicator, sometimes people will hear something and communicate something different than what the customer is actually looking for. And so that communication process, it's very delicate how it gets handled. Yeah, the old game telephone we used to play when we were kids, right?
Oh, yeah.
And so we have to make sure that not only are we communicating, but we're communicating clearly. Mm-hmm. So in order to provide the services I want to provide and build that long-term relationship and trust, we have to communicate. And then that allows us to become more professional. I rely a lot on customer feedback too. If there's a complaint, because we are humans and there will be complaints sometimes. The key is not to blow that complaint off, but actually what caused we will sit
into
down.
it. What's going on?
What caused that? How can we fix that in the future? And a lot of times too, and through the process of learning to trust my people, it's become not me saying, well, this is what we're going to do to fix it, but more, hey, what do you guys think we should do to improve on that problem in the future? And so I don't know if I've actually answered your question or not, but that's why the professionalism is so important to me, because I want to have the reputation of somebody who did what they said they were going to do, not, unfortunately, and it's not true for everybody, but unfortunately in the construction world, contractor is almost, it's like a bad word. Like people hear the word contractor and they cringe, and we are working to try to eliminate that, and just try to provide that pleasant experience from the first meeting all the way through the finishing of the job, or every time we go, if it's an ongoing service,
right?
Just to try to create a pleasant experience for the clients.
Yep.
I remember one time we were supposed to have a gas line installed at our house, and I get it, people are busy, but it was supposed to happen on such and such a date, and all of a sudden on such and such a date, nobody was there. My wife called, hey, what's going on? I just wanted to see, when are you guys going to be here? Oh man, it's going to be another 2 to 3 weeks. Okay, frustrating, but at least now we know, right? But my wife had to call. 2 to 3 weeks goes by, still nobody there. Hey, what's going on? Oh, we're just a little bit behind. We'll be there in a few days, whatever. I go out to work one day, and all of a sudden there's a giant backhoe in my yard digging a trench, And it's like, we didn't know. Like, we knew you were coming eventually, but we didn't know when you were coming.
Yep.
And so for me, that was a good experience as a businessman, because I was like, this is what it's like to the consumer, to the client,
Yeah, because you were the customer at that point.
Yeah.
Yep.
And so for me, there are times we have to postpone your job, but let's call you.
But we want to be the first to let you know as soon as we can.
Exactly. Yeah. And we want to let you know before you're wondering where we are and you have to call us, know. And unfortunately, sometimes that slips through the cracks, but for the most part, that's really something we work super hard on.
It's your desire to be that type of company.
Exactly. Yep.
You're not going to be perfect, Matt. I'm sorry. But that's the whole idea, that 1%, kind of every day.
Yep.
I think you said it very well. That's the point of the pod. It's for people to get to know you and to really get a good sense of why you do what you do.
Yeah.
And I love it.
Yeah.
That's why I enjoy working for you. And Jimmy, because I
know.
feel like you guys have this foundation, and it's really nice to work for you.
Yeah, good to hear.
Because even I make mistakes. I'm sorry.
I just don't know. I don't know if you hang door hangers the wrong way or something, but
I'm sure I've done something wrong. Let's transition. What is it about Greater Prescott that keeps you here?
I do love Prescott. I think this might. What I think for me, I just am the type of person that I have my comfort zone, and I don't like to step out my comfort zone. And so I don't really have a super strong desire to go anywhere else because this is my comfort zone.
Yep.
And maybe that's not like some profound idea of why I want to be here, but it's just kind of who I am. I've been here my whole life. I don't know anything different. Kind of why would I go anywhere else? Yeah. That said, I do love Prescott. I travel with my wife, and we go different places, and I do love seeing the country and the world. But at the end of the day, there's still no place like home. You know, you had a great time on the trip, but I can't wait to get home. And so for me, Prescott's home. It's always going to be home. Sometimes I'm like, man, New York, it's so green. This is beautiful. And you don't even have to have an irrigation system. This is amazing. Like, I want to just buy myself a riding mower and ride around all the time. You know, it'd be great. But I'm sure there's things about New York. It's humid, right? It's so humid. And so I love the beauty of other parts of the country that we don't necessarily get in Prescott as far as everything's green. But there's beauty here that no place else has.
Exactly.
Too, you know. And so I just love Prescott, and it's kind of a slower pace. Yep. You know, every time I go to San Diego, love the beach, but man, the traffic.
Yeah.
Every time I get frustrated on Highway 69 right now, I'm like, yeah, let's go to California and give us a little perspective, you know. So,
traffic is very relative.
Yes, exactly. It's one of those relative terms, you know. So, I just love it. It's my home. It's always going to be my home. Mm-hmm. Don't really have a major need to.
Yeah.
I'm just not that type of person, honestly. I'm a settler. So.
This is a great place to be settled.
Yep.
I'll tell you that.
Yep.
Awesome.
So that said, you know, plan on being here long term.
Okay.
I want everything kind of long term in Prescott.
All right.
Yeah.
Next section, it's the rapid fire questions
dear.
section.
Oh, dear. Okay,
all right.
Let me get some coffee.
Yes. Answer with the first thing that comes to mind. And if you have more than one answer, just give us more than one answer.
All right. This sounds dangerous, but let's see how it goes.
You already know all the answers.
Oh, okay.
Question number 1, what's your favorite thing about Greater Prescott?
I just say, I guess, the slow pace.
What's your favorite restaurant in Greater Prescott?
Ooh, Fujiyama. Japanese restaurant. Funny thing there, I don't know. Am I allowed to expand in the rapid fire?
Absolutely.
Okay. I hated Fujiyama when I first married Rachel. It was very different for me. I'm just a dumb Prescott redneck. You know, I love my burgers and fries. And so, but somehow, I don't even know when or where, but along the way, it became my favorite restaurant. So.
Good job, Rachel.
Yeah, good job, Rachel.
What is the number one thing on your Greater Prescott bucket list?
I have no idea. I don't even know. I
really want to hop in a helicopter and just get flown around Greater Prescott and just see the diverse topography from above. I cannot wait to do it.
That'd be cool.
All right. You can hop in.
I could just join you on the helicopter.
Let's do it.
Okay, sounds good.
Done deal. What's your favorite part of the Prescott area in terms of topography?
I love the mountains, the pines. Just go up there and hike. And it's not like I'm an avid hiker, but if I'm just hanging out in Prescott, that's a great way to do it. Yep. So that's one thing my wife and I have always kind of had a little desire to have a house in the pines one day. Yep. So,
quick story for me: when Emily and I got married, we were living in Phoenix. Her parents have a cabin up here in down Copper Basin. So I started coming up with the family, and I realized there's pine trees here. I didn't spend any time in Prescott growing up, so it was completely foreign to me, and it's still a little. I almost have to pinch myself just driving through the pine trees, going, this isn't our town.
Yeah.
You feel, at least I feel like you are transported to a completely different area when you're in the pines, and it's special.
Yeah, it's really cool how we can drive 10 minutes and just be up there, you know. So,
I love them.
Yeah.
Next question. What are 3 words to describe living in Greater Prescott?
Man, you said I knew these answers already.
Yeah.
I don't even think about these things.
Well, I know you've been here too long.
Exactly. It's just life. 3 words to describe Greater Prescott. Peaceful. Safe. Let's see what else. I got to think of a third one here. I mean, for me, home, right? Mm-hmm. Peaceful, safe, and home.
Perfect.
So,
if you weren't doing Guardian Landscape, then what type of work would you be doing?
Looking back, I would have found some sort of career in baseball.
Okay.
Whether that was, maintaining grounds at Chase Field or being a coach or my daughter's going in sports medicine, something along those lines. Like, that's one thing I've encouraged my kids to do is find out what they love at an early age and just pursue what they love. And so for me, that I definitely would have figured out a way to have some sort of career in baseball.
What sport does your oldest daughter play?
Volleyball.
Okay.
Yep.
How tall is she?
She's like 5'8".
Okay.
Pretty tall for a girl. Not super tall, but she's the tallest girl in all of my family.
Oh, funny.
So, yeah.
Well, then volleyball.
I have no idea where she got the height from because I'm only like 5'9" myself. So,
Yeah.
but
Okay.
Yeah.
Last question. What's your favorite summer activity in Greater Prescott?
just family barbecues. Memorial Day, it's usually our house is the party spot because that's Rachel. She's going to invite everybody over and we're going to have a barbecue. That's not really what my comfort zone is, but it's another thing I've come to love. I just love hanging out and enjoying the outdoors here and having a good burger.
My favorite thing in the summer is just being outside. It is just lovely here.
Yep.
Having spent the first 36 years of my life in Tucson and Phoenix.
Yeah.
The summers are just the best.
Yeah, I agree. I can't wait for summer now.
I can't, I know.
Every time it snows, I'm like, I thought it was spring.
I know, right?
I thought it was spring. So.
Yep. One final question, but it's actually a little different. Now it's your turn. What's one question you have for me?
Man, what's one question I have for Matt Roddy?
Everyone's listening, so
I know
go
this
easy.
has to be like deep and profound.
No?
I would have asked you how you came to Prescott, but I kind of already know that now.
Yeah, pretty much Emily, a bunch of her family members have cabins down Copper Basin. So when we got married, I started coming up here, and I thought, this place is the greatest.
And it was far better than 120 degrees down in Tucson.
And it's been amazing. So
very good.
There you go.
Cool.
To wrap it up, look at the camera. Let people know how they can get in contact with Guardian Landscape. Okay. I will also put all the information in the description. Okay, so we have a website, guardianlandscape.com, and you can get there's a contact us option on there, and then also our phone number, 928-379-0063. That's our office number, and if you want to get an answer and or response, you've got to call the office because my cell phone, I'm terrible about returning phone calls. So 928-379-0063 and guardianlandscape.com. Awesome. Thanks for being on. Thank you, Matt. It's fun to get to know people. Yeah. Very good. Even my employers. Yeah. I must say it was a little awkward. Like, oh, my boss is sitting across from me. But at the end of the day, this type of relationship is actually pretty special. Yeah. That you are my boss, but yet you are still willing to come on and just be yourself. And that's my goal also as just a person. I just this is who I am. Yeah. And I enjoy it. Well, for us, it's not so much like I know I'm the boss, but we're a team. And so agreed. For me, it wasn't awkward at all. It's very, very much we're a team, and where I am in my business and the success that we've had is due to the team. Yeah. It's not because I've done it all myself. So for me, that's the takeaway for every small business owner. Yeah. Yep. It's a team. Yep. So awesome. Thanks for your time. I genuinely appreciate it. Yeah. Let's wrap it up with a nice big smile. Okay. You guys, thank you very much for watching and have a great day. See ya.